I think we're a minute past, so so I'm going to start. Yeah, hi everyone, and welcome. My name's Bill Davis, and this is a webinar about funded PhD and MPhil opportunities in the LAURA programme on oral diversity research. I'm the director of the programme. Several of my colleagues are here. Oh, I should mention that the webinar is being recorded, and we're going to post a link to the recording on the LAURA webpage, maybe somewhere else. I mean, not that it's sort of hugely public, but basically, if you've got your camera on, then your face is going to appear in the recording. We need to record it for people who are interested but can't attend the live webinar. Yeah, I'm going to keep the recording going while we introduce the programme, and then several supervisors will introduce their research interests and potential PhD topics. And then we'll have a Q&A session towards the end, and I need to try and remember to turn the recording off for the Q&A, because questions sometimes relate to sort of specific circumstances of people, and you don't necessarily want the whole world to know about your particular question. So I hope that's all reasonably clear. Okay, so yeah, so here's the outline. I'm going to talk a bit about LAURA, say what the funding offer is, say how to talk about how to apply, a whistle-stop tour of supervisors, one slide each. Supervisors, I'll warn you that as in previous years, you've got a maximum of 2 minutes to talk to your slide, because we need to leave time for questions at the end. You can put questions in the chat box as well. I like interacting with chat often, or you can put your hand up, and then we'll invite you to open your mic up and so on. Yeah, Sam, are you okay to keep an eye on the chat? Well, I'm going to assume that you are. Okay.
I can help as well, Bill.
Cheers, Alan. Excellent. Well, right. Okay, so oral diversity in 1 minute. Yeah, everybody hears differently. That's how my colleague Andrew Hugill puts it. And yet I mean, we kind of know this in everyday life, and yet the kind of model of hearing in research and practice is basically to assume normal hearing, except in sort of specific medicalized cases, hearing loss, hearing aid use, and so on, where we say, okay, well, there's some people with impaired hearing, and we also make the tacit assumption that normal hearing is the vast majority. Whereas in fact, normal hearing is actually now so strictly defined that it's a very small minority of the adult population, and all kinds of hearing differences exist everywhere. And my colleague John Drever came up with this rather sensible theoretical model of a kind of spectrum model, which is kind of acknowledges that, I think, John, the sort of depth, the idea of neurodiversity, that it's not just, oral diversity is not just about hearing in neurodivergent people. That's a bit of it, but it's much broader than that. It encompasses all kinds of hearing differences, including all of the things that we might call impairments. So we were successful in getting funding from the Leverhulme Trust, for which we are very grateful. They're funding Laura, which is the full title is the Leverhulme Aural Diversity Doctoral Research Hub. We have funding for 21 PhD and 5 MPhil places in total. Each year, the offer has been slightly different. This is the third intake we're advertising now, and this will be the final intake. So there are already 2 cohorts of students on Laura. For this year, we're very happy that John is rejoining us now at Cambridge University, and so so this year we're offering 3 PhD places at Salford, of which 1 could be international, and 3 PhD places at Cambridge, and also 2 MPhil places at Salford. Yeah, the funding from Leverhulme basically tracks the UKRI rate, so that's the kind of standard UK PhD stipend. Currently, in the current academic year, 25 to 26, that's £20,780 a year. I would anticipate that it would go up a bit, but 2% or so, something like that for the next academic year. You don't pay tuition fees if you're a Laura student, and the majority of the PhD places are funded. So 5 of those 6 PhD places are funded by Leverhulme, and they also come with up to £10,000 per student for research expenses. So typically that would be things like funding conference travel, funding travel to go and work with a collaborator, paying participants in your experiments, buying bits of kit and consumables. Yeah, lots of things are eligible. You can't go to the pub on it. And I should point out there's 1 PhD is funded by Salford, and that doesn't come with the 10k research expenses, but it does come with the sort of stipend, the 21k salary, and the tuition fee waiver. Yeah, here's the timeline for 2026. Basically, we have to use the existing PhD application mechanisms of each university. So they kind of start out separate with separate dates, and then they'll merge towards the end. So we've got 2 different application deadlines. So basically, you have a look at the Cambridge and the Salford websites, and you have a listen to us today, and you decide whether you want to apply to Cambridge or to Salford, and then you follow the application process for each university. We can't physically prevent you from applying to both universities, but we'll do some kind of custom intervention later on if you do. But it is very unlikely that you would get offered a PhD place at both universities. Yeah, we would stop it before that. Anyway, so the Cambridge deadline is coming up. It's the 7th of January. The Salford one, you've got a bit longer. It's 30th of January. In both cases, you're applying through a kind of standard university application portal, which is not very pleasant to use in either case. But I'm sorry about that. There's nothing we can do about that. You'll then get basically what you're applying. Well, there's all the details are on the website about what we want for the application. For Salford, it's basically a PhD proposal, so a written proposal. literature review, a description of what you want to do in the project, experiments, whatever, timeline. Cambridge, it's that and a personal statement. Details about this on the Cambridge website. In both cases, we'll look at your proposals, and if they're good enough, we will invite you for an online interview. Salford interviews will be taking place in March, I think. John, I think the Cambridge interviews will be a bit earlier. Is that the case? Yeah, okay. But we contact individual applicants about that. Following the interviews, we then have a sort of second stage where we make decisions on the PhD funding. And at that point on the Salford track, we ask you for additional materials. You can improve the PhD proposal if you want, and at that point on the Salford track, we ask you for a personal statement, covering letter. Again, we'll tell you details about that if we're inviting you for that. And then at that point, kind of once we've got all those in, so the deadline for those will be 5th of May. Cambridge and Salford then come together to settle on a final ranked order list of places, but it will definitely be 3 at Cambridge and 3 at Salford. And we'll tell you those decisions on, if you're in that pool of applicants, on 22nd of May. And then, well, you start PhDs at Salford on 14th of September. I'm absolutely sure that Cambridge term starts much later than that, but I don't actually have the date for it. October, I guess, John, sometime, yeah. It's like it's a bit sort of more flexible. Doing a PhD, it's a bit more flexible than to anticipate a question we might get asked, especially like international students often arrive late. That isn't really much of a problem. We can typically start you a month late or so. It's no big deal. Yeah, we'll put Sam, would you mind putting links in the chat? But yeah, so there are, just to emphasise, there's a separate route for the Salford initial application and for the Cambridge. CDH stands for Centre for Digital Humanities. That's the part of Cambridge that John is in. Yeah. Oh yeah, selling ourselves. We've got lots of facilities for doing research in this area. I'm a member of the acoustics department at Salford, which is pretty strong globally in acoustics research, and we have pretty much all the facilities you could think of for doing experiments with sound, so including all the stuff there. Sam's in psychology. Well, Sam and colleagues. I mean, I'm saying these are me, Sam, and Alan are the kind of management committee of and John of Laura. Psychology at Salford have lots of fancy experimental equipment for peering into people's brains, including EEG, FNIRS, and fancy stuff like that. Music have got lots of exciting recording and performance spaces. And the Centre for Digital Humanities at Cambridge is stuffed full of very clever people. you could potentially collaborate with in your research. We're getting a new acoustics building at Salford, which is going to have, that's the list of current facilities. We're basically going to have more and bigger and better for this. We've got a current grant application in for a big perceptual physiological audio lab in the new building. So if we get that, then you could potentially be playing with that stuff. Okay, right, now we do to the sort of quick round robin of supervisors. So John is first up. Over to you, John.
Great. I hope you can hear me okay. My voice, I woke up this morning and my voice sounds like this. Doesn't normally sound like this. Anyway, so we have 3 PhD studentships, which are going to be homed in what's called Cambridge Digital Humanities, which is a really nice interdisciplinary space. It's kind of homed within the English department, but many departments actually come to play in digital humanities. It's got a very close relationship also with the library at Cambridge. But I think, I mean, sometimes people think about Cambridge as being very quite ghettoized in departments, but this is quite a rare space where we can really be thinking within a really interdisciplinary space. I will be part of the PhD supervision team, and you'll also get another supervisor who'll be one of the core members of staff there. You can see a bit of text I wrote for the website there about the kind of areas. I mean, we're looking for kind of critical thinkers to really get to grips with what is oral diversity. We're still figuring it out. And there's space to work on practice research as well. Practice very much as a kind of method to find things out as a kind of working space. I've got quite a long history in supervising PhD students, previously at Goldsmiths in the music department, but often across departments again. And many of my students have been kind of inquiring into different aspects of oral diversity already. I could carry on chatting, but maybe that's enough. But probably best if you want to talk to me directly, maybe email me on that address there. I've noticed there is an address on the Cambridge website which is supposed to do of oral diversity stuff, but I've got a feeling that person's now on holiday. So maybe best to email me on that address there, and I can try to address any questions you have. Of course, with Cambridge, you will also be applying to a college, so explore that area as well. You'll find lots online about how that college system works. Of course, it's very supportive, and you get looked after well if you in that kind of community. That's probably all my voice can cope with, but happy to answer any questions afterwards as well. Okay, thank you.
Splendid, thanks, John. Yeah, actually, the whole the sort of interdisciplinary aspect applies to all projects in LoRa. I mean, it's perhaps particularly strong in John's project at Cambridge, but it also applies to the Salford ones. Typically, the Salford ones you'll have 2 supervisors from different disciplines. Okay, on next, Duncan.
Hi folks, I hope you can hear me all right. Yeah, my name's Duncan Williams. I'm in the acoustics group with Bill and company, and I am essentially interested in the power of sound. So how we might harness sound to be helpful to people. And traditionally my work has focused on using physiological measures where we would try to understand the power of sound on the body rather than relying on the voice to tell us what you think is happening when you hear things, and then how you might use that in technology contexts. As far as LoRa goes, I might be one of the people who call, perhaps this isn't totally true, but I've got a student from each of the existing LoRa cohorts. So I've got a second year student, Addie Beckwith, who is interested in the power of music and how that can be used to help mental health interventions. She came to us previously having worked with the NHS, and a brand new first year LoRa student, Matilda Bauer, who is interested in misophonia, which, if you're not familiar with, is a really awful condition for people where they get really kind of just intense and unpleasant reactions to certain types of triggering sounds. So that might give you a sense of kind of what we're doing. And the pictures on the board here are from various experiments. That one in the right-hand side is Tiny Temper, the rapper, and he's using an EEG cap to control a system that I built as a postdoc, actually, where he would choose notes on a music sequencer via his brain waves, for want of a better word, and a neuroscientist would get very upset with me for saying that. So that's me. It's a really good set of students and cohort, and some of you have been emailing me. I'm happy to have questions. Otherwise, I'll get off the line and let Bill crack on.
Cheers, Duncan. Okay, right, next up is Trevor. There's going to be a Trevor can't be here. He's in another meeting, so I will busk to this. There's going to be a few of these. So Trevor, like me, is a professor in acoustics with a very broad range of expertise. You can see some suggested topics there. He has been running two big projects extending and improving what hearing aids can do, basically. So if you're kind of interested in sort of doing something practical about hearing impairment, but within a context of oral diversity, then I'd strongly suggest that you have a look at Trevor's work. Trevor also leads another doctoral training centre just in acoustics. So we've got a lot of PhD students. Yeah. Okay. Next up is Ben Shirley. I've not been keeping track. Is Ben on the call? Don't think he is. Okay, so I'll busk to this as well. So Ben is another colleague of mine in acoustics. Long track record of work on accessibility, basically, sort of accessible audio, TV, radio, broadcast media. He actually runs a spin-out company, Salsa Sound, that does object-based audio, actually particularly for sports broadcasters. There's some interesting possibilities actually in adapting object-based audio for people with various kinds of hearing differences. And you can see a couple of Ben's suggested topics up there. Ben's a great collaborator, basically. He's got lots of links with, I mean, you can see the charity links there. One of his former PhD students is a research manager at RNID. Ben's got links with every audio industry. I mean, if you want to make something happen in audio, Ben would be a good good supervisor to work with. Gosh, I'm just busking to loads of them. Antonio isn't here, is he? Yet another professor in acoustics. There aren't any more after that. There's 3 professors in acoustics. Antonio specializes in environmental noise. He's probably best known for drone research, so unmanned aerial vehicles, which might sound incredibly niche, but they're a potentially significant source of noise in sort of future environments, certainly in urbanized countries. Anyway, you can sort of see his research interests there. Antonio's got quite a large research group already of postdocs and PhD students, so you can kind of have a look at what he's already doing and see if you sort of see some way of slotting into that. I think Antonio co-supervises one law student in the first cohort who's doing work on sort of noise sensitivity, basically. Yeah, and another acoustics colleague, Bruno, who I think is also not on the call. Sorry for all the busking here. So yeah, so Bruno's into psychoacoustics and sound quality. He's probably best known for sort of research on recording studio acoustics, really. But he's done a whole bunch of work. Oh yes, archaeoacoustics. That's the kind of slightly weird topic there. So the acoustics of ancient monuments and caves and so on. Yes, if you can combine that with aural diversity, I'd be impressed, but perhaps you can. Okay, Becky Voss. Is Becky on the call? No, more busking, sorry. Yeah, okay, so Becky is a research fellow, particularly interested in hearing loss and singing. So how to make not just acoustic conditions, but I suppose how to make the whole sort of business of singing, particularly in a group, work better for people with a hearing impairment. Apart from anything else, we know there's sort of fairly recent evidence that that singing is tremendously good for your mental health. So there's probably some interesting applications of this. Given that getting a hearing loss is quite bad for your mental health, then kind of health funders might be interested in the outcomes of this sort of research. Finally, someone who is on the call. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi everybody. So my name's Adam. I'm based in the music department, where I'm the program leader for the creative music technology undergraduate course. I'm mainly interested in how technology intersects with aural diversity, and I've done a lot of research on developing new music technologies such as apps and games. So this picture on the right here is a piece of software for early years music composition that me and Professor Alan Williams, who's also on the call, developed and tested in school settings. And then the children used it to compose pieces which were played by musicians from the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra, which again you can see there on the picture. I also do a lot of research with games, particularly Minecraft modding. And I'm interested in how Minecraft can be used in youth work. So a lot of my current research explores how youth groups can engage with local environment through creative use of Minecraft, like creating and implementing new game assets, which includes, among other things, different ways of engaging with sound. I'm very interested in projects in which use creative technologies such as games to explore new methods of participation and ways of making participants like direct agents of change within a research project. In terms of my lived experience of aural diversity, I'm autistic and have an interest in neurodivergent experiences of sound and music. This has become a much bigger part of my research practice in recent years, and there's been some really interesting LoRa PhD projects, some of which I've supervised and some of which I've been keeping up to speed with, that have taken some really interesting and novel approaches to thinking about this. I also have tinnitus, and so I'm always interested in, because this has affected my workflow a bit in terms of music production, and I'm always interested in projects that look at hearing loss and hearing distortion from a point of view of live music and music production and so forth as well. So if you have a project idea that you think might be suited to me, then do please get in touch. I'm always happy to have a chat about it. I should say as well, I'm also, there's a link to this at the top, I'm also the lead for the BERA, that's the British Educational Research Association Neurodivergent Researchers Network. And if your research has an education angle, you might be interested in looking at BERA and our network. So yeah, that's me. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, everybody.
Splendid. Cheers, Adam. Right, Gemma. I don't think Gemma's on the call either. Sam, you're a psychologist. Do you want to busk to this? I've put you on the spot now, haven't I? We can't hear you either.
Can you hear me now? No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, I can busk to Gemma. So Gemma's interested in child development. She's particularly interested in memory, language, cognitive development, also socio-emotional development. And she's got projects around hearing loss experience, as well as kind of oral diversity in secondary education. And one of the things that Gemma's really interested in is digital technology and how that might be incorporated with learning and oral diversity and all these different factors. That'll do.
It will. Thank you very much. Right. Do you want to do Rob as well? Sam, come back.
Okay, so Rob is interested in basically affective science, so anything to do with kind of emotion and emotional processing. He's also got interest in sleep and attention, and he has projects around mental health, and also kind of just general experiences of noise and how that might relate to things like emotional regulation.
Super. Thanks. Right. Athena.
Hello, I'm Athena Mustak. I'm a senior lecturer in architecture at the University of Salford, and I'm also training as a neuroimager because my interests at the moment lie in neuroarchitecture, this interdisciplinary field that brings together architecture with findings from neuroscience and informing how do we design spaces with the input of neuroscientific findings. So how do spaces make us feel, think, and act, not just through design, but considering this into design in order to design the better spaces. So it kind of sits in the intersection of nature and culture, this idea that we have the biology of how we hear on the one side, but also as a designer and an architect, I also feel quite strongly about how our experiences of sound are influenced by meanings, by memories, by cultural and kind of memories that we have from our past and personal stories. So I strongly believe that it's a kind of interaction of the both. My work explores the kind of affective experience of architecture. How do we feel and sense architecture separately? So in the sense of oral diversity, this recognizing that people experiences sound differently, but also that for many sound is the way to experience space. Because in architecture, sound is often treated as a kind of problem that needs to be addressed. But I'm strongly interested in kind of understanding and navigating and interpreting sound and considering findings from neuroscience in order to come into the design to create inclusory auditory experiences. So there's 3 topics online at the moment. They range from open spaces, historic environments, educational spaces, and concrete use. I'm quite strongly interested in how do materials affect our perception of space, and within the context of oral diversity, what properties come from the material, but also what kind of ideas or previous misconceptions we might have about material informs our perception of a space. So that's from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Athena. Right, this is on a specific project. I know neither Fadi and Derek are here. Fadi sent me an email, so I'm going to attempt to busk to this. This is a very long way from from what I do, so what I say is going to be quite vague. But Fadi and Derek are both architects, but this is not sort of straightforward architecture, although it is still very much interested in in design. I mean, I suppose it shares a little bit with what Athena was just talking about, in that Fadi and Derek are interested in the way in which physical space is interpreted and represented through its soundscape, and how different individuals and groups can have different responses to that. But it's kind of quite different. I mean, first of all, in the mundane way, that this is they're interested in a specific outdoor space, and a pretty big one, the Manchester Ship Canal, which is a long linear space. So the characteristics of that will vary quite a lot along it, and they're sort of bringing in a lot of sort of recent concepts from philosophy and science and technology studies. So if you're interested in that, contact Fadi or Derek for more information. Now, another project with Fadi but Donna, would you like to speak to
I'm
this
here.
one?
I can do this one.
Cheers.
Oh, thanks, Bill. My name's Donna Peach. I'm a senior lecturer in social work. So this is very much an interdisciplinary project that would be supervised by myself and Fadi, who would describe himself as an urbanist, is an architect by background, and would also involve on a supervisory team a soundscape researcher, a postdoctoral researcher, and an acoustics specialist from our university as well. And the idea is that we're seeing our environment in the Greater Manchester area changing very much in this post-industrial environment. Our demographics are changing, there's lots of development, and we're really interested in how sound is perceived and experienced and changed by all of that. It's quite a lot to wrestle with, and as we're talking to potential applicants, so we're also seeing the different textures and the potential within this. So it is challenging, but I think really rewarding, so we look forward to any interest. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I do like that beautiful image from Usu's paper there. I know her, so that would be a kind of potential kind of collaboration. Maria.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Maria, and I'm also speaking on behalf of Sam Royal, who's my colleague in psychology, and we are recruiting for this project on music listening and or as altered states of consciousness. So my background is in musicology, and I've written a lot about electronic music and how that relates to altered states of consciousness, either as an altered state of consciousness or maybe mirroring or accompanying drug-induced altered states of consciousness. And Sam is into biological psychology, and he's worked on how alcohol affects consciousness. And with this project, we are trying to see how music can be an altered state of consciousness in and of itself. There's a lot of philosophical writing about how music is fundamentally different than symbolic forms of cognition and stuff, but it's a bit hand-wringy and vague. And we also want to think about the maybe psychedelic states of consciousness too, but without all the red tape that actually running trials, including psychedelic drugs, involves. So we're hoping to get people for this project who want to develop new ways of actually accessing data on these altered states, whether that is language data that is freely given on the internet in like vernacular forums of particular kinds of experiences. How do we analyze large quantities of that data and glean something about altered states of consciousness and music's role in it there? Or Sam has a lot of experience with EEGs and other ways of measuring biological signals of consciousness, and is keen to incorporate music into that. So if you have any questions about that, please shoot us an email. We're very keen to discuss, because this could take any number of forms. So we're very keen to kind of co-create the project proposal and hopefully take it through to funding stage. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Maria. That does sound fun. Yeah, getting ethical approval for administering the magic mushrooms would be a bit tricky. I can see why you. Yeah, next up is a specific project with a Jay and David. I don't think Jay is on the call. I know David won't be. Okay, yeah, I'll bust to this briefly then. So you can see this is an interdisciplinary collaboration between Jay in occupational therapy and David in acoustics, and they're exploring. So it's very specific. There's about impulse noises. So there's an existing sort of problem in how to evaluate human response to impulsive noises, so sudden bangs and crashes and so on. And we know that that's a problem already, even for so-called normal listeners. And Jay and David are speculating that there's probably quite a wide variation in response to this if we look at people with different kinds of hearing profiles, and I think they're almost certainly right about that, but they're just I think there just isn't the evidence on that yet. So it's quite narrow, but it's a kind of almost a kind of open topic. You know, you're almost guaranteed to get sort of publishable results, whatever you find from that. Yeah, so basically that's my understanding of that. David is on sick leave at the moment, so you'd need to contact Jay about that. His contact details will be on the Aural website. Okay, yeah, and just generally more inspiration for projects can be found from, well, having a look at what else is on the LoRa website. I can see in the chat, yes, that we've not yet put up details of what cohort 2 students are doing. Sorry about that, we will do that. There's also some abstracts from the Aural Diversity conference that we ran in September that you could have a look at, see what people are doing, not just LoRa people. There's an existing Aural Diversity network, which is it's academic researchers, but not just, it's practitioners and also just people with various kinds of hearing conditions who are interested in this stuff. Very, very interdisciplinary and broad. You could have a look at the website for that, the Aural Diversity Network. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably enough inspiration. And you can come up with your own topic as well. You might, browse research profiles of individual potential supervisors and then contact them. Or you could even come up with your own project idea and think, well, I don't know who would supervise this. In that case, you could contact me, John, Sam, or Alan. Just one at a time, please. Don't email us all at once because it just leads to duplication of effort. Just pick one person to ask. Right, we've come to the Q&A bit, for which I need to turn the recording off